What's up, guys? Alright, so today we're going to talk about the new HBO show that just dropped, Winning Time, The Rise of the Lakers Dynasty. New show about, as you can tell, the Lakers dynasty in the 80s, featuring Magic Johnson, Pat Riley, Jerry Buss, Jeannie Buss. We get a cameo guest appearance from Don Sterling in the pilot episode.
Like if the show wasn't racist enough already.
Larry Bird. So yeah, the pilot just dropped, aka the first episode. And if you guys are interested, it's basketball related. It's a HBO show, so you know it's gonna be quality. And we're thinking of doing a recap episode every Sunday night or Monday morning after it drops. So let us know in the comments if you're interested in seeing that. Today we're gonna talk about obviously the first episode, our impressions, our expectations after watching the trailer, because we did a video on the trailer.
Card over here.
Yeah. And yeah, let's just jump into it. So far, I think it's off to a solid start.
Solid, resounding, HBO-esque start.
That's true. Because if you don't know, if you are unfamiliar with HBO shows, HBO has a reputation. Any show they put out is going to be quality, meaning it's going to be well executed, well produced, well developed,
and explicit as fuck.
And yeah, they don't sugarcoat. They don't have to censor things because it's all under their production. They've been like that since forever. I mean, they're the ones who put out The Sopranos. So yeah, that's why I'm not gonna lie. I didn't necessarily have any expectations going into this after the trailer, but there was okay, I expected to at least be good, but I didn't have any I want to see this, or I expect it to be the best basketball show of all time. Did you?
I had two thoughts, when it comes to that. First thing that came up to my head is when I saw the trailer, I'm like, oh, whatever. It's your daily overhype, shit or whatnot. But then
I feel you.
I scaled back
and basketball,
and I'm thinking okay, hold on. This is HBO. They killed it with Succession. They've killed it with Barry. To name me some shows.
Succession is lit. One of the best shows on TV right now. And Barry, still underrated.
Yeah.
Check it out. One of the most unique shows you'll ever see.
So I'm like, okay, coming that to my mind, I'm thinking, all right, it's HBO. They're going to do their usual stuff, which I see that
they're going to do a good job at least.
They're going to start off with something in your face, damn, to get your attention. Mm-hmm. Then, once they got your ass sitting on the seat and watching and actually paying attention, then they're going to do the proper storytelling, writing of slowly going back up, then bam, climax, the peak, that type of shit. Actually, and so far it's done that, especially with the first episode so far. That you start, and I know you want to go more into detail, but I just want to bring it up already.
Yeah.
The show starts very tense. You're in a hospital, doctor's office or whatnot.
Yeah, the waiting room first.
Yeah, the waiting room, and you already know, when it comes to that, and then boom, HIV, AIDS, you got it. I'm like, damn. And I'm thinking, it's damn, you think COVID is scary? Psst, hold my beer. AIDS is saying, I'm like,
no, that's true. Okay, so first of all, like I said, I didn't have expectations, but I could not foresee that that's the way the show would start. The fact it starts in the future, because it's in the early 90s, and it's supposed to be focused on the 80s dynasty.
Yeah.
And we're in the office seeing when Magic Johnson gets the news that he's HIV positive. And I was just like, well, this kind of came out of nowhere. And they don't necessarily rewind it because it never gets brought up in the show again, at least not in the pilot. And after that, we just cut straight into Jerry Buss.
So the viewers can know what the hell's a pilot.
And
we're flying a plane over here. What?
So a pilot is what you call any first episode of any TV show that's known as a pilot. Just know that.
Good to know.
And and then after that, it just cuts to Jerry Buss, and then we're in the Playboy Mansion with him chilling, talking about sex and basketball, and it's basically a good chunk of the trailer. And that's the second scene. But for all the viewers that may be unaware, especially younger viewers, it kind of caught me off guard that that's what we're gonna start with, because HIV, AIDS, epidemic was huge in the 70s, 80s, not even the 80s and the 90s. And Magic Johnson was the poster figure for that, because he was the first straight, well-known male figure with HIV/AIDS. And when that news came, it's a literal milestone in the historic coverage of the AIDS pandemic. And yeah, I remember being emphasized in school about how serious and how crazy things were in the world during this HIV epidemic, and it was like COVID, and maybe even like more heightened, because COVID in the few years we've I don't want to say we've got it under control, but we've handled it like decent. I don't know, for the most part.
Hey, there's a vaccine now, man. Is there any vaccine for HIV?
HIV took forever, and people just could not. Also, science and everything was a little not as fast and well developed as it is now.
Yeah.
But that was sending everyone crazy, like, yo, what is happening, whatever. And that it was for years. And so yeah, I in a way it kind of made sense. Like, okay, maybe we're starting with this, because a lot of people, especially older people, like in the 40s, 50s now, like that's gonna be something they clearly remember.
Oh yeah.
But it did catch me a little off guard. I was like, oh, okay. And I'm assuming at the end of the series, maybe that's where like it'll be like a full circle moment. Maybe.
Probably.
We'll see. But it also ties in because it starts with the HIV/AIDS news of him getting it, and then like I don't know if it was his agent or whatever crying in the car. You know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. To like, okay, we're sticking with the sex thing, and it's like boom, Jerry Buss in this bed with a woman, talking about sex and basketball, and like how basketball can be compared metaphorically to sex, and how he wants to make basketball sexy.
And it's brought up many times.
Yeah,
like,
and the show does clearly emphasize that this show is legit about sex and basketball. Yeah. Like those are the emphasis things. But on top of that, it does a great job at a lot of things. One, portraying Jerry Buss's integral significance in the development of the Lakers. Because like a lot of times, like, yes, Magic and Kareem are the reason they won 6 championships. The coaches get credit, other players get credit. Not a lot of times, even GMs get credit. Does the owner get a lot of credit? Yeah. But Jerry legit loved basketball, but the Lakers. And I love how the series starts with like he doesn't even own the team. No. Like the show starts with like, oh, he's looking to buy the team. And then the show emphasizes to viewers how the Lakers were nobodies before he got it. Like
they were a dumpster fire.
Yeah, in that second scene, he's walking out of the Playboy Mansion. The valet driver talks to him something, and he tells him like, "Oh, I'm gonna go buy the Lakers or something like that." And he's like, "Well, tell them to win a championship, some shit like that." And it's like, whoa. So they had no, like, obviously Minneapolis Lakers, whatever you want to get into it, but like that Los Angeles Lakers apparently had no championships.
And to go with the importance and killing it on the like how they portrayed the actors with the personality, they killed it with Magic. Like the guy that they got, like a copy of the charisma of how Magic Johnson is.
For me, his smile, man. The like smile. Any clip I've seen of Magic, like damn, they really do look.
Man, like what does Magic? And with Kareem, like the guy that they have, like with the whole pilot thing, the whole when the player was walking in, like how Kareem is like, yo, F off. Yeah. And it's like, did you have like an experience like that with Kareem? Actually, wait a minute. He said F off to you, huh? And that's scarred you as a kid.
I don't know if I've ever talked about this on BTD. All right, real quick. I'll go deeper into it more, like whatever, on a different video. But like, yeah, I once asked Kareem from afar. I didn't even ask him though. It was my boy, because I was too like, I guess, shy or nervous to ask him. But my boy was like, he doesn't watch basketball, so he didn't give a fuck. So it made it easier for him. He's like, oh, who that? Whatever. And Kareem's like, it's at this jazz festival in New York, and it was just like an open festival. Like you can just walk into it. It was in Central Park, and we're like behind this fence. And I remember asking the guard at the front. I'm like, yo, because I see from afar, and he looks like Kareem, and I'm like, is that Kareem? He's like, oh yeah, he be coming around sometimes out there. I'm like, oh, that's cool. And then I remember, I think I asked him like, oh, you think he'd be cool if I brought it up to him about a photo or some shit like that?
Nah, he's a douche.
And then I forgot what he said, but he didn't give me like a solid answer. And then I'm like, all right, cool. So I let it go. And then my boy's like, bro, if you want to ask him for a pig, just ask him for a pig. Yeah,
man, grow a pair.
And then Kareem's like, a good couple of feet away from us. He's sitting on a chair like under a tent, like the VIP section of a festival, and there's just a gate. And then from the gate, he just goes, "Yo, hey, can my boy get a picture of you, or like can we get a picture of you, something like that?" And then Kareem says no words, bro. This man said no words. All he did, I'm never gonna forget this. He just goes like that, like the Chief Keef nah hands, like. was like, God damn, okay. Fuck you. No, I'm just kidding.
So,
and then ever since that, I was like, okay, the day I legit meet Kareem because of BTD, I'm gonna bring this story up to him.
Yeah, he's gonna be like, fuck off. All right, but yeah, they killed it on the personalities when it comes to that.
We did not get enough scenes in the pilot, obviously, with Kareem and Magic, because Magic's just getting drafted. Yeah, but I am looking forward to that now because the actors do seem to be a good job acting their characters.
Other thing I did like some subtle hints with that HBO has done that with other shows is like when they're doing the negotiating, like about how they're gonna buy the team, they like do like a little pause and like Buzz is like looking like, oh don't worry man, shut up, like the other guy, like it's like a pause. Other thing that I like about it as well is when Magic and Dr. Bus are in the club and they're having that discussion about like a star or whatnot. They show like the girls are like right there, and they show a current, like how the girls are looking at right now, like we're looking. But then they do like some other like I don't know, some sort of effect to make it seem like they got like a VCR effect of like the.
Oh yeah, they put a filter on it.
I'm like, damn man, it makes it seem like damn.
It reminds you of the time period you're watching it.
Like some people will believe like, oh okay, that's actually the actual person, like the footage that they got from there.
And maybe there is. I wouldn't be surprised if they mix some in as long as they can get the rights to it. I mean, it's HBO. They got budget, Yeah,
they got the bread.
All right, talking about some scenes that I really liked. One of my favorite parts was like the breakdown of the money purchase by Jerry Buss when he describes about like how much he has to pay for the team. It's very early on in the episode, and then it's not a caption. It's like the text in the screen shows how much liquid cash he actually had in the bank, and how much of it was in real estate value assets, and how much of it they needed, and then like to go from how much did he need? Like 16.5 million, I think in total.
16, like yeah, I know, like something like that.
And
like
then
astronomical number.
He only had 120K left cash in the bank.
Yeah,
and I was like, whoa. So yeah, we're gonna have to move some things around, and I love that it shows that because I feel like, especially nowadays, way too many people on the internet mistaken net worth for like what someone actually has. And I think that was a nice example by HBO because also they show the numbers like and calculate it right in front of you. Another thing so tying into that, I'm still a little iffy on how I feel about the characters constantly talking to the camera and breaking that wall, because usually when people break that wall, it's only the protagonist, like one main character speaking to the audience, like I totally just blanked out on the name. Ferris Bueller. You know what I mean? That Ferris Bueller technique's been used so many times. It's usually one character that talks to the camera, aka the viewer. In this show, it's kind of weird to me, but I guess Adam McKay's decision was this, like, they're just constantly talking to the camera. Like, not just Jerry, but Magic, Jerry's assistant, or like future assistant, and just like different characters constantly talking to the camera. And I don't know if I like that or not, you know what I mean? At the very least it intrigues me, but sometimes I feel like, okay, maybe it's being overdone. But I haven't watched the show long enough to, I mean, it's only been one episode to kind of really develop an opinion on like, okay, it was done too many times.
I think you hit it right on the spot, man. It intrigues someone when it comes to
that. But if it's over, like if it's used too many times, and you kind of, it gets worn out, I think mean? Like a great song being played way too many times.
I think they put it the right amount of times.
Okay.
In my opinion.
And then another scene that stood out to me was that coin flip scene. Like, I thought it was so interesting that like the number 2 pick in the draft was decided on a coin flip where not everybody was in the room. Nowadays, there's so many like conspiracy theories on the internet about stuff.
Well, yeah, number 1 and number 2 pick, yeah. And
then like number 1 pick was already Boston Celtics, but then between Chicago and Los Angeles, it was I'm assuming the commissioner who was on the phone with the owner of the Bulls and the owner of the Lakers, and they weren't all in the same room. I thought that was so interesting because like at that point, the coin toss was going to determine who gets it. So the only people that really know what that coin falls on are the people in the room. So if you want to get into conspiracy theories, it's like it's so easy that you can just manipulate those people in the room to say whatever pick even if it doesn't end up being, you know what I mean? And it's like all based on the trust system, you know what I mean?
Trust me, bro.
Maybe it was like a more old school thing where people were a lot more like, I guess, based off principle, which I respect. And I thought that stood out to me because I was just like, damn, this is such a big thing. Maybe even if the NBA wasn't the size and the lucrative billion-dollar industry that it is today, it's still a league. And no, we're just gonna do it on phone with no cameras, no video, no, you know what I mean? And they had video cameras at the time, just on the phone. I don't know, that really. And I will say that coin toss in slow mo, man, I don't know if that was at 120 or 240 frames per second, but that whole scene was elongated a little too long for me. That's all I'm gonna say.
Entertainment purposes.
But I did learn some things. One, I did not know that Magic Johnson's mom was so conservative and religious. I had no idea. All I know about Irvin Johnson is that he loved women.
I don't blame him.
A lot. And that he's a successful NBA player and equally a successful businessman after his NBA career and even during his NBA career. That was all. That kind of tripped me out because I'm like, oh, his mom's so like religious and whatever. He even emphasized it, like tells us in the episode, and it's like, so where did this whole like playboy persona come from? You know what I mean? Was it like you know? So that kind of stood out to me. I didn't know that his dad was like. Obviously, this is a show, so there's gonna be some things that aren't as
some things are accurate, some things aren't.
But like his dad was with him.
In the beginning,
yeah, like during the discussions of like his rookie contract, if he got drafted by the Lakers, this and that. So I didn't know like about that because with Jordan, we know how close he was with his dad. So I don't know if like I've never really heard that with Magic.
Well, I like the flashback that they had that when Magic was a kid and he was like playing around, like saying like, oh, Magic, like do like the announcer and that type of stuff, and then they do a
kind of like the beginning of Space Jam.
Yeah, and then they do a callback on that towards the end when Magic is like back and forth, be like, nah, man, I'm gonna go back to Michigan State, and then Dr. Bus on purpose, it's like kind of putting like a treat.
Loses him.
Yeah, loses. Oh, I got lost, and then Magic, he finds himself to the court, and as an adult, like he's on the cusp of realizing his dream. He's having that like moment as well, like he's like a big kid again, and that's when he makes up his mind to go play for the NBA.
Yeah, no, I really liked how the show emphasizes that these two men, Jerry Buss and Magic Johnson, before we get into the whole dynasty really developing, really loved the sport. Yeah. They truly, genuinely had love for the sport and for entertaining. And I think that's one of like the first things that the pilot episode tries to like lay down as a foundation for the series moving forward. Like, now these two are real, and it's probably why they got all the success they did. and to see, like, I also didn't know how hard Jerry was fighting to draft Magic. You know what I mean? Like I never thought about it because it's not my era, but yeah, it's crazy. Like Jerry West, who was the coach at the time, apparently didn't want him. Thought the other guy was a better fit, and then it goes without saying there was still a shit ton of racism. There still is now, but like even worse back then, and very flat out in your face.
Yep.
The owner of the Lakers before Magic, having a lot of underlying racist tones
and sexist
towards Magic. Yeah, and like, fuck, can you imagine working back then in corporate America? Mad Men does a great job of that too. Great show, by the way. Another show recommendation there. Hey. But I'm very interested to see how everything plays out.
Me too, man. And like, okay, whether you're a Lakers fan, basketball fan, like casual basketball fan, highly recommend checking this thing out.
I agree with him. Like, you do not have to be a basketball fan or a Lakers fan or a Magic fan. It's a very general presented show.
Yeah.
And it seems to execute what most HBO viewers like. It's well written, well directed, well developed, well shot. uncensored, and it's got all the glitz and glamour that people tend to expect from an HBO show.
And what you would think about LA, like,
and it's real life. Think about that shit. Like this is for real. Like obviously it's exaggerated for entertainment purposes for a TV show, but like this show is based off a book. Maybe we should have started off with that from the beginning. But this show is based off a book by Jeff Pearlman, where he documented, he was there for a lot of it. Here's a video. Colin Cowherd today, Monday, after the show, Tuesday, 2 days after the show aired, interviews the writer of the book. And it's definitely recommended because the writer, Colin, he's a great interviewer. He asks a lot of great questions. Asked him questions too about like, what in the show stood out to you? What did you like about the show? What didn't? This and that. Now, the writer has already seen all 10 episodes. But he said that in the pilot episode, one thing that really stood out to him was because he was there for it, and he said it was like a warm feeling for him, and I totally get him, was when Magic asked the guy, that whole fish scene, Sandab's fishing eating scene, Magic asking him about like, can I get a burger? Yeah.
I don't blame him, man.
And that guy was in there, and he said like, it's crazy to think like, imagine if I wasn't there recording that moment would have never like actually happened, and that moment legit happened in real life, and that's why it's in the show. Like the little things like that, and like those are the things that are like 100% accurate. You know what I mean? I thought that was so interesting, and I'm very excited to see what else like real stuff in real life happen on the show.
Side note, we're gonna end it over here. Okay, he's like, I don't blame him for wanting a cheeseburger, man. You're in Los Angeles, like my ass. Like whenever I'm in the West
Coast, man, that Sandabs was looking pretty good. I've never had Sandabs.
I never had Sandabs either, man. I'm poor.
Same.
Well, middle class, whatever you want to say. Poor, middle class, ain't rich.
Not Sandabs people.
Not Sandabs type of people, man. I heard Sand people, but not Sandabs people. But I'm like, okay, to get to my point, I'm like, if you're at this point, man, you're a true MVP. But it's like, you're in the West Coast. My first thing that I'm thinking about is like, In-N-Out. I'm gonna get my ass to In-N-Out.
Bro, people were fucking thinking of In-N-Out in the 80s, dude. Early 80s, too.
I'm thinking of that, man. I'm like, time machine. I'm in the West Coast, man. Before like, man, sex and basketball. No, fuck that shit. Let's go to In-N-Out. And I'm like, you're in the 80s. It'd be like at 99 cents or some shit like that.
Oh, yeah.
But anyways,
Jordan Johnson asked for $600K as his starting rookie contract.
Mad money, man.
One of the first things I kept thinking, I didn't do it on my phone at the time as I was watching, but I was wondering like, damn, dude, like when you take inflation into account, how much was $600,000 in like early 1970s?
Whoever has that formula, you want to put it in the comments, man.
Yeah, and to put it into perspective, because the show obviously isn't going to tell you the inflation adjustment, but it shows that Kareem, who had already won a championship in Milwaukee, had literally just closed a contract for $650,000. Who the owner of the Lakers at the time even emphasized that Kareem is a hard bargainer. So even with all that hard bargaining, Kareem, an NBA pro for a few years, NBA championship, NBA Finals MVP. Wait, was he a Finals MVP?
Of course, man.
Okay, and
with the Bucks, man.
Yeah, and I just had to be sure. $650K, and then Johnson here, a little 18-year-old kid, like asking for just $50K less than that. That's crazy. That takes balls.
Shit, man. $650,000, man. You win this at this age, man. Half of that's going to gas. I'm not sure with the way we're going right now. All right, but guys, check out that show. Like, give it a chance.
Yeah.
You'll definitely
let us know if you guys want to see these weekly recaps. I promise we'll try to keep them as short as possible. I know this one ran long, but we'll try. Unless you guys enjoy us just like talking about it.
Yeah, I feel you. And I'm not gonna say it, but whatever.
What are you gonna say?
No, if my jokes are funny, just let me know. I'll use it.
Let them know, right?
Might use it on dates. What? No. That way, at least it'd be like,
you gotta let him know so he does not use these jokes.
Yeah, I do not, man. It's already bad. Well, bad. Man, you can make another podcast of dating life, but all right. Anyways,
I'm so ready to release BTD After Hours, bro. I'm ready. Let me know.
10K, let's go. Anyways,
10K subs.
Yeah. What? Anyways, appreciate all the love and the hate, guys. You guys already know. Catch us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, all podcast streaming platforms. YouTube's gonna recommend a couple things over here. Andrada usually says this, but anyways,
the most recent video and the video YouTube thinks is best for you. based off our channel.
There you go. Love it. Anyways, catch you guys soon. For now,
Take
later.
care.